just a second video on the project, and I wanted to cover the second function that you have to write, vowel count. So remember, this is going to receive the list that you generate in the prior function. Let's clear this out. So this might be, for example, something that might have been generated in the prior function and returned by that function. And you're going to take whatever that return value is and you're going to plug it into vowel count. So that will be the argument, let's say, for example. Won't necessarily be. It could be something quite different that will go in. Now, your job, or the job of vowel count, is to count how many A's, how many E's, I's, O's, and U's in there. And so it would return something perhaps like this, in which the zero index would be A's, the number of A's, the first index would be E, or not first, but the index value 1, index value 2 would be I's, and then O's, and then U's. So it would return something like that. In this case, I don't know, you've got 3 I's, etc. So now the question is, what do you do? What do you do? Well, like I said, I would create, and here we are in this little sandbox, but you create whatever you want in here and run it separately through the shell. So right now I've got, if I were to print this out, for example, just to show you that I am in that file, and I would just run Python and then I'm calling it sandbox, and it just prints it out. So there you go. And then I can test out what I wrote. So it's going to take in this, and you have to count how many of each. So one of the first things you're going to do is create an empty list in that function. And then you're going to have, you're going to have to iterate over, this list that comes in. And now if you could do a for loop, that's fine. A while loop is ample. It'll do just as good a job in this case. You just have to remember to keep a counter that is fit to the length of that list that comes in. The other thing is, when you create this list, I recommend that you create it with 5 zeros. That is to say, they're already populated. That way, your conditional statements can, as they add to the particular index, depending on whether it's an A or an E, whatever, you already have those populated. Because if you try to add at a particular spot index value in a list and it doesn't exist yet, unless it's at the end, or you're bumping something up, you have at least on either side of it, if you don't have that index value, you'll throw an error. So if you just had this and you were thinking, well, this is going to be A's and this is going to be E's and this is going to be I's is going to be in here somewhere, and then you try to insert it, it's just going to be a little difficult. That's all. So as you go through and you iterate through this, you determine whether it's an A. If it's an A, you're going to increment that index value 0, E, index value 1, etc. That's it. And then you're going to return this list, but populated with the integers representing the number of times a particular vowel appears. So that's it. Take it a step at a time. A while loop is sufficient. You're going to have to use a loop of some sort. One final comment about this. I had recommended that you use a 0 list to count the vowels. You could also just start out by doing something like this. So declare a variable equal to A0. And then you can increment each of these as you iterate through, and then you can just put that in the list that you return. So put them in order in the list, and these are integer values. They're not, remember, they're not the characters. So that's it.